Hello, it is Thursday, April 28th, 2022. I'm Chris Remo, and welcome back to the New York Times Crossword Daily Solve. It's a Thursday puzzle today, so very possibly a tricky theme in store for us. I suspect that will be the case. And I also suspect that this edition of the Daily Solve has been brought to us by Jake Rodkin, Michael H., and, as always, the inestimable Hood Monster and the invaluable Timothy Mark. So thank you so much to all four of them, benefactors of the Daily Solve Patreon campaign. They are directly supporting this channel and helping make it a sustainable part of my daily work. So I do very much appreciate that. And thank you to everybody who has contributed to the Patreon campaign at any level. I very much appreciate that as well. And if you'd like to join their ranks and get access to all of the bonus videos on the Patreon feed, as well as the new ones that go up each week, you can find that at patreon.com/dailysolve. There's a link in the description field underneath the video. And also, there is a link in that very same description field to where you can join the Daily Solve Discord chat server, which is free to join, although you get an extra channel if you're a Patreon subscriber. And that's that. Also, please do subscribe to the channel. That's free as well. So thank you to everybody who has done so. And without further ado, I think we should get on to the Thursday puzzle, because it is, as a Thursday, there may well be something complicated that we have to figure out with this theme. This is a Thursday crossword. It was constructed by Pao Roy. This is Pao Roy's second crossword, so not quite a debut. And it was edited, as always, by Will Shorts. So let's get going. Let's see what we have in store for us today. Thumbnail, e.g. Now, it could be an image, a thumbnail image. I jump straight to that because I have to make a thumbnail image for these videos on YouTube every single day. But let's see if that actually holds up. So here's a very long grid-spanning answer. Part of a sun salutation in yoga. I haven't a clue. I don't know anything about yoga. Title with an apostrophe. Could be ma'am, a contraction of madam with an apostrophe between the two A's, so that's plausible. Outs. Could be outs as in you out somebody, you reveal something about them, or it could be outs as in ways out, points of egress, either literally or metaphorically. Cut the small talk. Not sure. And Gray's Anatomy settings in brief. Well, this is a medical show, I believe, so ERs, emergency rooms, presumably. And guts. Valor, maybe? Guts meaning courage, maybe, in battle, or something to that effect. Outs. Why don't I see that? What about this? Titular Disney protagonist of 1942, Bambi, I'm guessing, based on the number of letters and the crosses. That looks right. So part of a sun salutation in yoga. I don't know. Trim. Oh, alibis. You have an out if you're being questioned about your presence, I don't know, proximity to a crime or something. You say, well, I have an alibi. I was somewhere else. I was solving the Thursday crossword. And that was very difficult, so I had no mental energy to devote to crime. Lies ahead. If something lies ahead, it awaits. And cut the small talk. Go, tika, Hospital hookups are IVs. There we go. Intravenous devices. That's interesting. We have two IVs in the downward, these big long down clues. How many reprimands are issued? Sternly. You could issue a stern reprimand. And walk like you own the place. Sachet, maybe? Is that plausible? Letters before an alternate name. An alibi. I guess not quite an alibi, but AKA, also known as. So letters before a pseudonym. And pepper used in mole sauce. Ancho peppers could be used in mole sauce, which is very delicious. And postponed. Something postponed. It's delayed. It's what? It's late. It's tardy. It's on ice. There we go. That could be it. And here we have purge. So to purge oneself of something is to rid oneself of that thing. And title for Don Quixote, Señor. And Don Quixote was indirectly referenced, I think, in yesterday's puzzle or the day before. It was this week. Tilting at windmills, I think, was the... Oh, yes, because it was yesterday, because it was the pinball theme, the tilt. Enlightenment in Buddhism. Oh, Bodhi? Is that right? I'm not sure. Gativ too. This V looks very strange. All right, it is a Thursday, so something strange is going to be going on with the theme, and I think it's going to be around these IVs. Because VT doesn't make any sense, and VW also doesn't make any sense. Aha! I think I see. Let's keep solving a bit, and then I will confirm or deny if I see. Concept and Reagan. Yeah, okay, I definitely see. Okay, so I think the IV is creating a down arrow. And so we have to interpret the IV as pointing down, or rather as being, we're going to pronounce down in order to interpret. This is a rebus, actually, in a way. So I think I mentioned this the other day because the word rebus appeared in the crossword itself. So in the New York Times crossword, there's this thing called a rebus, which is when you put several letters in a single cell, like down. You could do that because you determine that's the only way to solve the puzzle, and that's what the puzzle constructor intended, and you infer that to be the case. But in puzzle solving more broadly, a rebus generally refers to a sort of symbolic representation of a word or a concept. And in this case, I think we basically have a rebus, which is a down arrow indicating the word down. So we could read this IV as a down arrow that replaces the IV with down. So got down to business. And then here we have down. Now, I know almost nothing about yoga, but I think one of the most sort of stereotypically sort of commonly referenced, what is it, asanas, I guess, positions in yogas, is downward facing dog. And so here we have downward facing dog. And I wonder if these IVs are actually going to be, it looks like, so this is a directly 45 degree, and you can see these two IVs, they're disposed along this diagonal 45 degree axis. And is that also true here? It is, yes. So that would actually suggest, and let's try this out and see if it works, that we could move down again at a 45 degree incline and put an IV in here. And does that work? Handles discreetly. Something down low, I bet that will be. Keeps it on the down low or something? Keeps on, yes, keeps on the down low. That works. Now, I don't know if that's correct, but it could be. And I think we maybe have solved the theme, actually, before pretty early on. So no worries. It's okay. That fits. Wordle, e.g., in 2022, what a fad or a craze. There we go. Yes, Wordle. It's a craze. By the way, I do solve Wordle every day, if you didn't know that. So I have a video of myself solving Wordle each day in a minute or less, also on the channel. It goes up later in the day than the crossword does. What's in the stars? Gases? That doesn't seem right. Blank factor. Ick factor, maybe? Something that's disgusting? What's in the stars? Oh, kisses, maybe. I think that's maybe referring to asterisks in text, being, I suppose, a rebus. That's not really a rebus. Being a sort of pictographical representation of a kiss. Concept in Reaganomics. Oh, didn't solve this one yet. Trickle down. I was going to say trickle down economics, but they already say Reaganomics in the clue, and also that wouldn't fit anyway. So trickle down. What? So trickle down is a concept that was espoused by Ronald Reagan, the former U.S. president, that suggests that wealth at the top will sort of naturally trickle down to those below. But what is this word? Trickle down. I don't know. Sorry, I'm sure that's very obvious, but I can't think what it is. Anyway, I must admit, it's not a theory to which I personally subscribe. But anyway, send beyond the baseline of a tennis court, say over hit, maybe? And sightseers are eyes, straightforwardly. To kid, oh, no, it's not to kid. I was thinking to kid is to joke, but it's not. It's a kid, a child, a tyke. There we go. And kid being a sort of, informal term, I suppose, for a child will match with the informality of tyke. And then pound sounds are barks, dogs bark. Benai Brith. Now, what is this exactly? I feel silly for not knowing, but I recognize the phrase. I'm not sure. Sorry. Something religious, I assume. Seismologists concern a tsunami? But that doesn't fit with the S. Ranch dressing. Chaps. Very clever. So ranch dressing, obviously, well, I think most of us would think of salad dressing when we see this, but the question mark indicates a bit of pun or wordplay. And in this case, we're referring to dress, clothing one might wear on a ranch. So chaps. That's a very clever article of clothing. And, okay, so this was incorrect. This was not kisses. I interpreted that in a way that I think is sort of fair and is actually surprisingly similar to the answer. I wonder if this is intentional. Anyway, what's in the stars is not kisses, it's kismet. So, in other words, sort of fate. You're fated. It was kismet. It was fate. It was meant to happen. And the princess in L. Frank Baum books. So L. Frank Baum was the author of the Oz novels and Princess Ozma. I've never actually read any of these, but I've heard of Princess Ozma. I don't think I've only ever seen the original Wizard of Oz. That's the only sort of Wizard of Oz related thing I've seen or read, and I don't think Ozma is in it, but I've heard of Ozma, certainly. Anyway, seismologist concerned. So it is tsunami after all, and that's what made me rethink. Well, it was a combination of that and Ozma, actually, that made me rethink kisses. All right, adding purpose, some, and we have the question mark indicating a bit of pun or wordplay, so we will add. The purpose of adding is to create a sum of numbers. Double Fantasy Grammy winner. I spelled tsunami wrong. Sorry, this is Yoko Ono, and there we go, tsunami. Apologies. Double Fantasy Grammy winner. Oh no. And then Dewey is moist. Hamilton producers are ATMs. Video game with a Rosebud cheat code that grants free money. The Sims, I guess. I'm not familiar with this cheat code. I wonder, is that a Citizen Kane reference to Rosebud? Anyway, The Sims is an incredibly successful computer game series, so this must be the answer. And, this is trickle-down theory. Okay, I think I even said theory at one point when I was discussing this, but anyway, that was the answer. Okay, fair enough. I was really focused on trying to think of a synonym for economics, and that was the wrong line of thought, so apologies. Anyway, only U.S. city bordered by 2 national parks. Oh, interesting. Miami, maybe, in 5 letters? I'm not sure. Struggle is to vie for control, to struggle for control. So it probably is Miami. Let's put it in and find out. Mating call. Oh, clever. So the question mark, once again, is indicating a bit of wordplay. And in this case, it means mate as in checkmate in chess. So you'd say, I win. To do nothing is to... actually, I don't know. 2018 literature Nobelist Tokarczuk. I actually do know this, Olga Tokarczuk. So at least I can fill that in. And filmmaker blank Lily Amirpour. Anna? Not actually certain. Oh, Zippo Nada. So does that work? Utah's blank, Zion Canyon, I believe, in Utah. Okay. So this all works. That could be a tough cross if you didn't know these at all. Although I think if you were able to get Zion, you could probably infer Anna. Muppet whose self-identified species is whatever. It must be Gonzo. I didn't know that fact specifically, but I know of Gonzo the Muppet, so it must be the answer. And, here we have the an emoticon with a shocked face, which I guess would translate also in texting language to OMG. So there we go. And this meeting could have been an email, one might say. It begins with "in the beginning." That would be the first book of the Bible, Genesis. And a biblical mount. Okay, great. So I was going to say steed because of thinking a mount, you mount a horse. But I think actually maybe this is referring to Mount Sinai in the Bible as well. So let's, I mean, it could be steed because you could theoretically imagine this referring to sort of biblical language and it's a steed, but I think that would be too specific to get something as general as steed. Sorry, there seems to be some kind of, I don't know, noise going on. I apologize if that's coming through loudly. Anyway, sorry, what were we looking at? Potato stuffed pastries. I don't know, why don't I see that? Item on a list. A task. You could have a to-do list, a task list, and plans for some seniors in brief. Oh, IRAs. So this is referring to seniors as in elderly people, not seniors as in people about to graduate from high school, for instance, in the U.S. So this would be IRAs, individual retirement accounts, and you can start withdrawing from those once you've reached a certain age. Okay, part of a drum kit could be a snare drum. That's the really tight-sounding, sharp drum in a standard drum kit. Many attachments. Not sure. Oh, here's another novelist. Jennifer Egan is a novelist. A Visit from the Goon Squad was her really sort of breakthrough, I guess. Trim. Oh, I see. Trim is a verb to abridge, to trim a text, to abridge it. And boxer's warning. So this would be boxer, a breed of dog. So this would be grr. The boxer would warn you. As opposed to, I think, what we're meant to initially think, which is it's referring to a boxer, a fighter. Backing, aid. You could give someone backing, give them your aid. And I was going to say this looks nonsensical, but no. Many attachments are PDFs, I see. Portable document format, I think is what that stands for. And hung open is gaped. Your mouth hung open, it gaped. Your mouth may have hung open. You may have gaped at this bizarre theme, this IV down situation. And then Illinois City, that was the first home to the Chicago Bears, Decatur. Okay. I wouldn't certainly not have known that fact, unsurprisingly. And potato stuffed, knishes. There we go. Potato stuffed pastries, knish. Great. And to pulsate is to throb. Your heart could throb, pulsate. And when El Dia de los Reyes is celebrated would be Enero, the month. And nitrogen on the periodic table. Oh, sorry. I apologize. I was reading the wrong thing entirely. I was completely confused. I do this all the time. I was reading 49 down as 46 down nitrogen on the periodic table. And I was thinking, what on earth is that in 4 letters starting with E? In fact, this clue is 46 down in French. I'm sorry. I should look up here. People have told me that before in the past, and I always forget. I'm so accustomed to looking over on the side. Anyway, so nitrogen on the periodic table must be 7, and 7 in French is set, S-E-P-T. And then here we have flavor is sapors and soporific, for instance, and then do nothing is sit by. Okay. Don't know why I couldn't get that earlier, but I didn't. Home to Caesar's palace. Rome, I suppose. And honorific from Sanskrit would be Shri, S-R-I. And then, Pole, e.g., don't think I saw this clue yet. A Pole would be a Slav, the Slavic peoples. And there it is. There's the Thursday puzzle. So indeed, that was a wacky theme, as implicitly promised, I suppose, on a Thursday. And we had IV word facing dog for downward dog. We had gotiv to business, which is got down to business. We had trickle-ive theory, which is trickle down theory. And we had keeps on thive low, which is keeps on the down low. And so we had, this is very clever. I don't think I've seen I've not seen this idea in a theme before. So, and this is, this is especially clever because IV is also, of course, Roman numeral for 4. And it did occur to me before I got the down that maybe this means 4, but down just seemed so much more likely given these words. Anyway, there are 4 of them. We have 4 of these IVs, which number 4. And I do really appreciate that. Oh, sorry. I only just also noticed that the crossword the grid is symmetrical about a horizontal axis, it's not radially symmetrical, which is the typical. So what I mean is it's symmetrical about a vertical axis. So what I mean is if you folded the grid in half along this middle vertical line, the patterns would match up. You'd see that the black cells would be disposed identically. And that's unusual. It's more common for the crossword to be rotationally symmetrical. Oops. Anyway, sorry, I don't know if that has anything to do. Oh, no, it does. It's creating another down arrow. Oh, look at that. I didn't even see that. So we can see this cross here in just below the center of the grid is the point of the arrow. And then we have the sort of wings of the arrow over here, and then the stem of the arrow up at the top of the grid. Wow. So this is a very thoughtfully constructed puzzle. And then, of course, sort of dividing our black cell arrow in 2 is this line created by these 4 IVs. Very good. Very well done. It's a very conscientiously crafted theme, I would say. Yeah, very good. Anyway, a good fun Thursday puzzle by Pao Roy, and I don't think the solving was devastatingly difficult, although there were some, I suppose, I don't know, Olga Tokarczuk and Jennifer Egan, there was a number of proper nouns, so those could be tough if you don't have that knowledge on the top of your head, which in this case I did, so I'm better served when that's the sort of proper nouns we get, as opposed to sports players, I must admit. So lucky me, I guess. Anyway, yes, very, very good. I really enjoyed that. I thought that was a fun puzzle. Let me know if it, and I'm aware that I probably got the theme maybe slightly more quickly than some would, just because I'm so predisposed on a Thursday to be looking for things like that. And once I saw this IV, especially once the V, you see this VW and VT, I mean, that just doesn't make any sense. So there's got to be very few English words end in a V without an E at the end, for instance. And so it wouldn't be 2 words, and it's even less likely to see a VW or a VT inside the word and arranged in that way. So it seemed like something was going on, but I would understand if it took, if you're simply less familiar with Thursday New York Times puzzles, this would just be baffling. I mean, there's no indication or explanation that this sort of thing is even possible. So you just have to get used to it, I suppose. Let me know if you have, or if you enjoyed this or didn't, or what. I'm kind of curious. Anyway, that's that for the Thursday puzzle, which means it's time to discuss some clues from the Wednesday puzzle, and we shall do that right now. There are several, actually, I believe, and we're going to start with one from Joe Zichterman that covered 3 of them. So Joe Zichterman explains, BTUs are British thermal units, measured by the amount of energy it takes to raise a pound of water, 1 degree Fahrenheit, around 1,055 joules. A home furnace usually has 80,000 to 100,000 BTUs, while a space heater ranges from 10,000 to 40,000 BTUs. Called BTUs presumably because Brits invented it, but it is only used as a measurement in the US, from what I can find. Yeah, and that's similar in the sense that the United States uses quite a few measurements that were British in origin, or at least partially British in origin. But now Britain, here in the UK, we actually obviously use the metric system, largely unlike the US. So that sort of thing is not uncommon. Joe Zichterman continues, Akron, Ohio, developed a reputation as the rubber capital of the world because 6 major tire manufacturers chose Akron as the site for their headquarters. Akron made an ideal spot as an area with large amounts of water for the rubber vulcanization process to make tires, and its local workforce was used for industrial labor and manufacturing. Oh, I see. No, sorry. Its local workforce was used to industrial labor and manufacturing. I see. However, in the late 1970s, as rubber companies became more international, Akron lost much of its placement as the rubber capital. So thank you for that potted history of Akron as the rubber capital of the world, which was referenced in yesterday's puzzle. And finally, from Joe Zichterman, slew, S-L-U-E, means to turn abruptly, although that spelling is less common than slew, S-L-E-W. However, slew has multiple other meanings, like a lot of something, that make the spelling S-L-U-E more useful in some instances. So thanks for that as well. I'm not sure that was something that, I don't think I got anything wrong about that in yesterday's puzzle, but that is good linguistic context. Victoria Rojishka explains something I was wondering aloud yesterday, which is how to pronounce the name of the constructor, which was spelled B-A-J-C-Z. And Victoria says, Bach is a Polish last name, I assume. You'd pronounce it as Bach, which I didn't. I think I said Batch, perhaps. So thank you very much, Victoria. I appreciate that. And Star Wars Muffin 01 corrects my completely misremembered explanation of how Pig Latin works. I got it essentially precisely the opposite. Star Wars Muffin 01 explains, in Pig Latin, the first consonant is moved to the end. Nothing is moved forward, just the A added to the end. So big, which I struggled with, would be Igbe, whereas by your logic, it would end up Gibe or Gibe. It was a childhood tradition to learn to censor your cursing where I grew up. And Lasagna says, it's not the first syllable, but rather just the first letter, although I'm still confused about what to do if the first letter is a vowel. Yes, so this is one thing I did sort of mention correctly, I think, yesterday, which is that it's not so much the first syllable or the first letter, it's essentially the first consonant sound. So you have to kind of create that from the situation available, usually. Although actually, here, never mind, maybe this is even more correct. Layla Mullison says, if the first letter is a vowel, you add way. So I weigh, e the bray, airway. I breathe air. I see. So airway. You take the A and you precede it with a W. So yeah, never mind. In that example, you can see it's not just the first consonant, but the first sound, be it a consonant or a digraph, two letters that make their own sound. Reethbay is hard to understand. So, and if you're like me, you end up accidentally saying reethbray anyway. But if you moved the whole first syllable, it would be breathe, which is not useful to code your message. Yes, fair enough. All right, let's move on past this extended Pig Latin discussion. This is interesting, and I had no idea. Perla says, in Italy, the word flipper is exactly what we call the pinball machine. I'm pretty sure it happens in other Romance language-speaking countries as well. And JS replies to say, also in Finnish, flipperi. I'm I'm absolutely butchering that. I'm sorry. But spelled F-L-I-P-P-E-R-I. Now that's really interesting. I had not a clue. So there's a little bit of knowledge that results from the pinball theme in yesterday's puzzle. And I think that's it. That was all I had. So I will draw this video to an end, this Thursday puzzle, this strange Thursday theme. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed the solve. And I hope you'll be back tomorrow for the Friday puzzle. If you found today's theme confounding and frustrating, you will not have to discern any such thing tomorrow. It will just be a standard themeless, probably slightly tricky in a more conventional way, crossword. So do join me for that. But until then, please do have an excellent remainder of your Thursday. Take care.